Mighty has been a character in the Sonic franchise that has been neglected, that has been absent for a while now, and I was wondering, where has he been? Like, his last appearance was in Sonic Mania, which came out I think in 2017, and it's been nearly 8 years. And before that, the last game appearance he had was in Knuckles Chaotix in 1995. But before we dive into that, I just want to get a basic understanding of how this is going to go. I was doing research over the past couple days trying to figure out where Mighty has been, his last whereabouts, some lore, some hidden lore that Sega has released in the past. And I was just trying to figure out where he's been, what he's about, and what we can conclude that he's going to be, if he's ever going to be appearing in the next iteration of the franchise. It's kind of like a case study. I did a lot of research. I was hitting those books, bro. I was doing those Google searches, watching videos, just trying to figure out why he is the way he is, why he's not getting as much attention as the other characters that came out of the classic era and have a prominent role in the Sonic franchise, like Knuckles, Amy, Metal, and even the Chaotix. We're gonna get into that later. In terms of the rules of this video, I won't be covering any material from the IDW comics or any of the comics because they're generally not canon to the games. I'm gonna mainly be covering the game media, so that includes the Sonic Mania Adventures, a little series he has. Since it's kind of like it's based off Mania, and Mania was the game, so it's based off that, so I'm gonna include that. Yeah, mainly just canon information from the games. Things you should know about this video before going in. Some brief knowledge of Sonic. Sonic 1 taking place in I think 1991, and then Sonic 2 coming after that. Sonic CD ironically releases after Sonic 2, but the game story takes place after Sonic 1. And then Sonic 3, the game I'm playing right now, I haven't finished it yet, but I had to spoil myself a little bit, but it was worth it. That game taken after Sonic 2. We know the guidelines. I'm gonna be going over some exhibits, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, talking about the different phases, different information that portrays Mighty and that relates to Mighty, and I'll be diving into those in deep detail. I really just want to crack down like where he's been, what plans Sega might have for him in the future, and if there's anything that's already been stated that's gonna cancel his future, cancel his chances of appearing in another game or not. But yeah, let's just dive into it. Let's get into these case studies because I did a bunch of research, bro. Hope this pays off. Hopefully we learned some stuff we didn't learn before. But yeah, let's get it. So Exhibit A, we're going to talk about who is Mighty exactly, what's his role in the story of Sonic, who exactly is he. So Mighty Armadillo, he's apparently like peaceful. I mean, in the iterations of media, he seemed like a pretty basic guy. I mean, it's not much to go off of really because he hasn't appeared in much games, but apparently he has a passion for traveling. And also this information I'm getting from some of this information is going to be from like a fandom, and it gives you general information of like other released media from manuals and stuff, and it just generalizes it. So it's not gonna be totally accurate, but it's accurate enough. It's accurate enough to take information off. Other information we'll be getting from is like direct statements from Sega or Sega employees like Ian Flynn. I know he's worked in writing for the comic IDWs. We also write some story scripts for some recent Sonic games, for like Sonic Shadow Generations or Sonic Frontiers. But yeah, I know he's been involved with Sega, so his word is semi-credible. But Mighty, he's just likes violence and roughness. He's more of a peaceful guy. He's kind of like Sonic. He's not as adventurous, or I mean, he is as adventurous, but not as risk-taking. He's more of a peaceful, laid-back guy. But yeah, he's an armadillo. Similar body structure to Sonic. Personality wise, he's laid back, peaceful. Some skills and attributes that he has durability. The way I portray him, he seems to be more durable than a lot of the other characters in Sonic, as he has that hard shell on the back that protects him from projectiles. The scene in Sonic Mania, he's strong. In the Sonic Mania Adventures, we see he has strength that could possibly rival Knuckles. We don't know how strong they are, but we know he's one of the stronger characters, and actually giving Metal a hard time in battle. So kind of shows that off base he's already like one of those higher top tier characters in the in the classic era at least. He's fast as Sonic, or not fast as Sonic, but he's pretty fast. Can keep up with him. He's got wall jumping, where we've seen that in Knuckles Chaotix, and Hammer Jaw, which is in the new Sonic Mania. I'm kind of like upset about myself because I'm like, I kind of spoiled Sonic Mania a little bit, but I mean, it's for the lore, so I'm still gonna be able to enjoy the game once I get to it, but it's for the lore. So some brief connections that he has with Ray. Apparently he's his best friend. He was originally, Mighty's originally part of the Chaotix with Vector, SBO, Knuckles technically, and Charmy, and he's good friends with Knuckles and Sonic. We want to get into the game inclusion. So 1993 Sega System 32 arcade game is the first game he's appeared in. It was an arcade game. It was pretty simple. All you had was a jump button and like a little joystick where you can control the character, and Mighty was one of those characters that you can play as, in addition Sonic of course, and Ray, Flying Squirrel. That's probably where they met up in the first place. That's probably how they even know each other. So obviously that game has to be canon because that's where Mighty's introduced. So, and that's how Mighty and Sonic even know each other. So, and then other appearances that he has is again what I talked about earlier, Knuckles Chaotix 1995. That's a couple of years after the SegaSonic. And lastly, his last appearance in a game being playable was Sonic Mania Plus. He was some DLC for Sonic Mania, and that was back in 2017. So we have some basic knowledge of who Mighty is, what he stands for. He's a pretty good guy. He's kind of like Sonic in terms of being able to fight for his friends. He dislikes peace, but ironically, if there's like a problem that's gonna interrupt with his friends or try to take his friends out, he's gonna be all in there. He's gonna be like the first person in there to stop the threat, as we saw in the Mini Adventures series on YouTube. So we have a good idea of what he's about, what his morals are, his values, and we see that he's a pretty true guy. He's kind of similar to Sonic, but I'm gonna get into that later. Quote directly from the Sonic fandom: though he dislikes violence and roughness, Mighty is more than capable of such when trouble arises. His best friend is Ray, the Flying Squirrel, who will help him train to be the best he can be when trouble is near. He's controlled to be like Sonic and the SegaSonic, so there wasn't really much they had to do in terms of in the game. He's proportionate just like Sonic, he runs just like Sonic, so that's kind of getting into the lore, so I'm gonna hold back from that, and that's gonna lead us into our next exhibit. I did some research. We're gonna talk about the SegaSonic game first from 1983 because this is where Mighty's first introduced, and that's where we get some plot about what's on. So there's a little description from the Sonic fandom website. Again, I'll link it in the description to let you guys know where to find this information if you're interested. So the SegaSonic, here's some the basic plot of the game. I think yeah, I wrote a whole document, bro. I might share it if I need to, but let me check this out, because I didn't even play this game before. I tried to play it, I tried to find it, but I think that joint is locked up in Japan or something, bro, because I can't get past it. Like, it's not letting me like play it. So if you guys have like a way where I can play the game, let me know in the comments. Let me know if it's fun or not. But here's the description of SegaSonic. So Mighty was captured by Dr. Robotnik and imprisoned at Eggman Island, where he was to be executed. Executed? Yo! Executed? What he been doing? Like, I know, no. Executed is crazy, especially for a kid's game, bro. You better get his head chopped off. I don't know what he did, bro. But he was to be executed along with Ray, the Flying Squirrel, and Sonic the Hedgehog. The trio joined forces, though it managed to break out of their cell, only to get blown to the other side of the island by a geyser triggered by Robotnik. Regardless, Mighty and his friends managed to get through the island's defenses and confront Robotnik in the control room. However, the Doctor proceeded to activate the island's self-destruct sequence. Despite that, the trio managed to get out of Robotnik's island in time, which got destroyed in the process. Mighty, Ray, Sonic locked up on this island. Apparently, Dr. Robotnik was on some crazy timing back then, bro. He was trying to execute people, bro. He was trying to be that dictator, bro. He was trying to kill people, bro. So I don't know what timing he was on, but Mighty must have done something, because Mighty's a peaceful guy. He just goes on adventures and stuff. So he must have crossed paths with Eggman before. Eggman was just being like a douche or something. He just wanted to lock him up, bro. I don't know, but I can't see Mighty doing something that was actually justifiable to get him executed. I think Eggman just wanted to, he just wanted to throw some hands. I think he just wanted to put hands on somebody, bro. And he just caught Mighty in the stray. That's where I'm like, there's not much going on for that. I don't think there's any lore before this. Yeah, that's the main plot. I think the game's mainly about Ray, Mighty, Sonic just trying to break out of the island, just trying to get away. But yeah, it was for arcade, so in terms of like lore and plot, you can't really get much out of it since it's an arcade game. It's just meant to entertain people, just get some tickets or whatever. I don't know the system. This is his origin point, so we can deduct some things from it. Let's see, we can check out the manual real quick of SegaSonic lore to see, or the SegaSonic game, to see if there's any other details that can hint us towards where Mighty might have been, or how Mighty crossed paths with Eggman, or like why things happened the way it did. Alright, so it was his first appearance. This website is Sonic Retro. That was something I just stumbled upon while doing some research, but it seems pretty detailed, seems pretty knowledgeable. Level player. It doesn't talk about the lore. It has some music stuff, some legacy. This doesn't talk about anything. Okay. Yeah, it just shows you like how to play the game on the arcade system. But dang, bro, that Ray like brown. That's crazy. But yeah, so only thing we really can deduct from this, because there wasn't a lot to go off of, so this is where Mighty, Ray, and Sonic first meet up for the first time. This is how they become to know each other, or become great friends, great allies. But yeah, that's pretty much it, honestly. So it's just like a little intro, not much plot, but we can get into the next one. Next up, we got Knuckles Chaotix 1995. I think this game gives the most lore out of the 3 other playable appearances Mighty makes, because this is where he's actually playable. There's actually a more developed plot, developed story, and he has more involvement with it. We read the plot real quick. So Knuckles Chaotix, apparently Knuckles Chaotix, for some of the research I was doing, apparently Knuckles Chaotix happens right after, some months after Sonic 3, which makes sense because in Sonic 3, Eggman betrays Knuckles. Yeah, sorry for the spoiler if you're watching the Sonic 3 Knuckles playthrough. But I was doing it, bro, and yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit ahead of the videos, so I kind of knew, like, I kind of saw that part. Yeah, so Knuckles Chaotix takes about, I don't know, I think 3 to 4 months from what I read after Sonic 3, and which makes sense because in the game Sonic 3, Knuckles and Eggman were working together, so it makes sense, like in Sonic, or Knuckles Chaotix, Knuckles against that. So here's the plot of Knuckles Chaotix. Knuckles Chaotix, Mighty happened to stumble upon Newdragic High Zone's island during his explorations. As it turned out, however, Dr. Robotnik had occupied the island at the time when he carried out a plan to steal the Master Emerald. So this is probably like during Sonic 3 where he's planning to betray Knuckles. He probably has some backup plans. Mighty himself ended up getting captured by Robotnik and turned to stone by Robotnik's combi catcher. He was soon freed by Knuckles the Echidna and Espio the Chameleon, however, and joined the growing group in order to stop Robotnik's operations. Months after the events of Sonic 3, Knuckles' tectonic movement in the South Sea caused by the altar of Emerald's energy causes a mysterious island to emerge. The island rapidly transformed to a lush landscape with the altar's power. Dr. Eggman investigates the island and learns that it's used to be a home to a lost civilization after finding a ring with ancient characters inscripted on it. He finds a giant ring similar to the ones on Angel Island and deduces that it can guide him to the Master Emerald. The mysterious space created by the ring's power is filled with Chaos Emerald energy that has materialized into 6 objects called Chaos Rings. That's kind of unique because never heard of Chaos Rings before, and I've played a ton of Sonic games, so this is like lore that I'm learning about too. Eager to research on the giant ring to harness the Master Emerald, the Doctor sets up camp on the island, which he transforms into a resort dubbed Newdragic High Zone. So he just changes the island to whatever he wants. He crystallizes the Chaos Ring's energy into artificial rings called Dark Rings and develops a ring power to generate a space-time connection between the rings. Meanwhile, Knuckles and Echidna, curious about the island's nature and are driven by a sense of responsibility as the guardian of the Master Emerald, probably taking responsibility of him being betrayed and how he helped Eggman's plans from Sonic 3. So he probably took a responsibility to go after Eggman. So Knuckles Chaotix could be seen as like a little sequel to Sonic 3, where Knuckles it's kind of like a spin-off because there's no Sonic or Tails in it, so it's really just Knuckles going on his own mission to figure out what the aftermath of Sonic 3 and Knuckles was and make sure Eggman stopped for good. So he's driven by a sense of responsibility as the guardian of the Master Emerald, arrives on a nearby isolated island where he finds Eggman and Metal Sonic trapping Espio the Chameleon. Is it Espio or Espio? Let me know in the comments, guys. I've always like mixed those up. After warding off the two villains, Knuckles is joined by Espio in search for the Doctor. Along the way, they're also joined by Vector, Charmy, Mighty, Heavy, and Bomb, who have come to the island for their own reasons. The group travels through their various locations on New Georgic High Zone, defeating Eggman's contraptions while hunting for the Chaos Rings. Eventually, the heroes will encounter and defeat Metal Sonic. In the last-ditch effort, Eggman uses a Dark Rain to transform Metal Sonic into Metal Sonic Kai. Oh my goodness, what? This dude got Dragon Ball Z power up. Although the robot is once again defeated by Knuckles and his crew, from there the ending of the game will depend on the player's progress. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I want to go back to that second paragraph. It has a little bit of lore there. So Espio apparently is already on the island before Knuckles gets there, and he already got trapped by Eggman. So we can assume that Espio was already living on the island. Well, actually, that's not possible because I think he said the island emerged and Eggman was the first one to get there. So Espio could have saw the island and was interested in it, or he could have been on his own mission to stop Eggman for whatever reasons, or he could have just like stumbled upon the island. I think. Wait, did he say that? Oh, he investigates the island. All right, so island emerges. It was home to an ancient civilization, so the island had to be like underwater or something, but it emerges, so there shouldn't be any type of life on it except like trees and plants and stuff. So there's no way. I guess we can get into some lore. Espio could have been living there, and he could be part of that ancient civilization, or he could have some ancestry to the ancient civilization, because here we're saying that Espio was there first, so he got trapped by Eggman. So Espio was the first Chaotix there. So at this point, the Chaotix is not even a thing yet. We're just getting all the characters here together to figure out what they want to do, how are they going to stop Eggman. So I'm just going to assume. You can just assume that Espio just got to the island because he was interested, because a new island emerged, and he just happened to be in the wrong place, the wrong time. Eggman captured him or trapped him for something, and Knuckles, being there just in time, he got there just in time to help him out. So a lot of people don't consider Knuckles to be part of the Chaotix, because in the English translation of the Knuckles Chaotix game, it's called Knuckles Chaotix, but in the Japanese translation, I think it's just called the Chaotix. So you really can like take it however you interpret that. But to me, I consider Knuckles to be on his own thing. Like, he guards the Master Emerald, has other responsibilities, but he has connections to the Chaotix, so it's fair to say that he's a part of it in a way, because he was a part of the birth of it. So I mean, it's fair to say he was a part of it. But yeah, we had the first two Chaotix here, Espio and Knuckles teaming up to stop Eggman. I played a little bit of the Chaotix game, and the intro of the game that's how it starts. You play as Knuckles and you find Espio in the jungle locked up, and those are the first two players you can use in the game. So it's safe to say those Knuckles and Espio are the founding fathers of the Chaotix. Before it's even born, they're just a little J squad working together just to stop Eggman. After Knuckles and Espio, I think that's where all the other characters come in. Vector, Charmy, Mighty, Heavy, and Bomb. They all come in for their own reasons. I think earlier in this description, it talks a little bit about Mighty. Mighty himself stumbled upon New Chaotix High Zone Island during his exploration. So that also goes back to his sense of adventure. He likes to explore new things. So they're staying consistent to that. I see they're staying consistent to his character writing, his personality, his passions. And he just happens to get hit by Red Botnik as well, so him and Espio sharing a similar fate. Knuckles and Espio free him though, so it's safe to say, it's not really safe to say if Mighty was the third Chaotix, because it doesn't really set the order, but we can assume that for our continuity, I guess. But We just know Knuckles and SBO are the founding fathers of the Chaotix, at least because they're the first two to come together. So yeah, Mighty, Vector, Charmy, Heavy, and Bomb. I'm not really sure if they are really considered Chaotix, as a lot of people consider them as gag characters, as they slow the characters down or hinder them in many ways so the other characters do not. So, and they're created by Dr. Robotnik, but it just seems like Mighty just happened to stumble upon this island. I think that's really how the Chaotix came to be. I think there's some, I did a little bit more research on the manual, Knuckles Chaotix, and that gives us a little bit more in-depth knowledge on the specific characters, so I'm gonna check that out real quick. Translated from the Japanese manual, translated by Wendy. Shout out to Wendy, whoever you are. Appreciate you, bro. Alright, so we got the English story and we got the Japanese story. I think we should check out the character profiles first. So, Knuckles Chaotix, or my fault, Knuckles the Echidna. I was just getting tongue twisted, bro. Guardian of the Master Emerald, pillar on the legendary floating island. He feels more than a little responsible for the recent commotion. I mean, that's safe to say. Knuckles did work with Eggman during the most of the duration of Sonic 3 and a little bit of Sonic and Knuckles. Well, not even a little bit of Sonic and Knuckles, like all the way up to like maybe like the 5th level, I think. I don't know, but he does feel a little bit responsible. He was tricked by Eggman. He put a lot of people through pain. A lot of the island through pain. So I guess it felt more responsible for him to pick up the mantle and see where Eggman is going after the events of Sonic 3. So that I like how Sonic and Knuckles, or I like how Knuckles Chaotix has a place in the Sonic franchise timeline. It explicitly states is after Sonic 3. So yeah, I don't really consider this a spin-off anymore. I think this is actually part of the main game. Just Sonic's not in it, but I think it's part of the main classic era line. So we got the descriptions here. SBO the Chameleon, male, 17 years old. Did not know that. Okay. Private detective, hobbies, combat training, intelligence, and gathering. Likes camping. Dislikes Dr. Eggman. I mean, bro, like, Eggman got ops, bro. Eggman got ops. Like, I'll be upset at Eggman too, bro. I was just exploring the island and I got put into a trap. Like, I don't want hands too with him. He was probably camping on the island. Eggman just messed up his campfire, bro, and just put straight blasters on him, bro. Put him in a jail or something. Cause like, I mean, nobody messing with Eggman. Cause like in that SegaSonic joint, Eggman wanted to execute him, bro. Straight, not like beat, not like restrain him. Straight execute. He wanted Mighty dead. So he must have did something to his joint. But SBO, single-minded individual, very strong sense of justice. He's interested in the legendary civilization and decides to visit the island to investigate its relationship with the floating island. For this reason, he's actually envious of Knuckles. Alright, so we get a little bit more lore on that. So we understand why SBO was there in the first place. He was interested in the legendary civilization. And I'm actually kind of curious if Sega is going to come back to this story and touch upon that legendary civilization, whether we're going to see any adaptations or iterations of it in a new Sonic game or whatnot. But yeah, it's like some lore I've never heard before, but at least we understand why SBO came to the island, New Drogic, New Zone, or whatever it's called. We got Mighty the Armadillo, 16 years old, hobbies forest bathing, he's male, tranquility, nature, dislikes violence, so that goes with the pacifist type of vibe that he's going for. He's a traveler and he feels that his purpose in life is journeying around the world. When in a tight spot, he can turn on a dime and show off his amazing abilities, but he doesn't like to be rough and he's a calm person. He happens to arrive in this island and gets caught in the commotion. Alright, so that aligns well with what we read earlier. Vector the Crocodile, male, 16 years old, music, dancing, basketball. Yes sir, bro. He's like 6 foot, bro. He's like 6'3", bro. He can be dunking, bro. Be like, shoot, you can try to be like the nice Andy Edwards, bro. Sports, he likes sport drinks and he dislikes noise. He's a boundless, cheerful, and quiet and optimist. However, he actually has a strong sense of camaraderie than anyone else, and has the strength and kindness to face up to any challenge. He believes in the existence of God, and he came to the island to hear the news about the island of miracles. Alright, so he came to this island looking for some type of miracle. So maybe he was interested in getting a wish granted, possibly. So maybe this civilization had the abilities to grant miracles. Maybe that's what he heard of, and that's what drew him to the island. Just throwing out some possibilities there, but this civilization seems to be more prominent, more eye appealing, bringing in all different types of people. So there obviously has to be some type of text that people would know about the island, know about the lore, know about the history, and know where to find it, out of all things. So just open-minded stuff that could be answered in future Sonic games. If we maybe possibly getting a future a classic Mania game styled Mania game for the Chaotix, as it's, I think this year is the 30th anniversary of the Chaotix. Yeah, it actually is, because this game was made in 1995 and it's 2025 now, so we could possibly get a game hinting back to this ancient civilization or something. So we got Charming to Be, genders male, occupations a sprinter, hobbies napping, likes the sun, honey, ironically, dislikes being mocked. I don't really mess with Charming, bro, you won't get mocked. He was the first insect to cross the speed of sound cap, so he's very proud and can't keep quiet when he's denied. He's also very moody and mature in his words and actions. He's self-proclaimed fastest insect in the world. That's not a flex. He flew to the new island in search for new flowers. Alright, Charming, I mean, this description is just side character. Alright, so Dr. Eggman, he's still the same infamous genius scientist. This time he has his eyes on the ancient special ring on the island of a lost civilization, and plans to get his hands on the Master Emerald, which he says can be summoned by it. His goal, of course, is to become the ruler of the world, so Eggman still dreaming. Metal Sonic Kai is a Sonic-shaped robot created by Dr. Eggman, the main sub-CPUs, recovered from the body that was destroyed in the previous confrontation with Sonic. Alright, so Metal Sonic Kai, this game definitely comes after CD, because CD is the only game where Metal Sonic is relevant in the classic era, so this also confirms that this game's after CD, and this is probably where Sonic trashed Metal Sonic, turned to scrap metal, and he had to be reborn with the dark green power. So that could also be a reason why Eggman is searching for the power. Knuckles Chaotix definitely gave us the most material that we could ask for based off Mighty and the Chaotix. We know why the Chaotix formed, we know their purpose, and it's just really a matter of time if the Sega's ever going to return back to the original Chaotix, because there's so much lore that they could dive into. The ancient civilization, the chaos rings, Metal Sonic Kai, the dynamic between Vector, SBO, Charmy, Knuckles, Mighty, and why Big and Heavy were created. Speaking of that, or not Big and Heavy, Heavy and Bomb, speaking of that, I don't really see any descriptions for them, but I do remember reading something about, during my research, reading something about how they were created by Robotnik, but they escaped Robotnik to go help them. So they had good intentions, but they were just made in a way that's just going to hinder the player. So it's really like a double hand. They could be good guys, but at the same time they're created by Eggman, so they could just be there to hinder them, so we don't really know. This gives us a lot of information, gives a lot. We know Mighty's origins. He's a traveler. That's probably the reason why he got captured in the SegaSonic game. He was just traveling in the same way Eggman captured SPO and put him into a cell. Could be the same way with Mighty. Eggman's just an op, just sees animals and just goes straight ham on them. I don't know. Might have a problem. I need to get that checked out. But they just give us a lot of lore. Sega could definitely hit up this ancient civilization in a future Chaotix game. I don't know why they would not like try to adapt from this, probably because the game wasn't really generally accepted as wide as the audience as the classic games from the Genesis console. This game was good. I mean, I'm definitely gonna probably do a playthrough on it, but this game has good sounds, good visuals. It's just the system that they did with the rings and stuff. You gotta like hold it out. I think that was kind of whack, and the gameplay is inconsistent. That's probably why they haven't took up any knowledge or information from this game and try to implement it into something else. But I like this information we got from Sonic Retro. It gave us a lot of intel, a lot of information on the specific characters, their own personalities, traits, all that. Oh yeah, we gotta go into the Japanese and English stories. English story from the US manual. Tomorrow's the big opening day of Carnival Island, a huge resort with the latest high-tech rides and games. As a guardian of the island, it's Knuckles' job to make sure that nothing goes wrong before the grand event. Alright, this is just straight Sonic Colors, bro. Like, when I read that whole sentence, I was just thinking of Sonic Colors straight up. Unfortunately, the evil Dr. Robotnik has other plans. He needs fuel for his latest diabolical devices, and the power emerald that supplies electricity to the entire island fills the bill perfectly. His awful new invention, the Combi Combiner, should help him get rid of that annoying echidna on his friends. So the other description I read earlier kind of shows how Mighty got captured. When Knuckles returns from patrolling to the far end of the island, he discovers that Dr. Robotnik has enforced all his friends, Espy the Chameleon, Mighty the Armadillo, Affected the Crocodile, and Charmy the Bee. After he chases the Doctor off, Knuckles discovers that he can reduce one friend at a time by using ring power, only the power that sparks between the rings holding the two partners together. So I like how they established Espio, Mighty, Vector, and Charmy being his friends. So not really saying Heavy and Bomb were really a part of the Chaotix. So at least we got a little clarification on that. Sparks is here like a magical rubber band, never held back for the long. Knuckles finds out with a little teamwork he can use stretching and snapping action, the ring power to double, even triple the partner's speed. That's crazy. They need all the speed they can get. Dr. Robotnik drains the power from Carnival Island. Everything on the island begins to break down. Robotnik must be stopped, or by tomorrow morning, the Carnival Island's big opening day, the Grand Amusement Park will lie in ruins. Alright, so they don't really talk about the civilization here, just talk about Grand Amusement Park. Let's see what the Japanese manual talks about. A floating island somewhere in the world. It's been several months since the incident caused this island to graze the surface of the ocean, so it ties back to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. However, an upheaval occurred deep in the South Sea and an island appeared out of nowhere. It was a product of tectonic movement caused by the power of the Master Emerald pillar on the floating island. So Angel Island. Moreover, the island was changing its appearance at a very fast pace in just a short period of time. The energy of the pillar was transformed the island from a mere rocky mass into a green paradise. There's something on that island. Knuckles, the guardian of the Master Emerald Pillar, wonders about the rapid changes in the island that continue uninterrupted. Are there vestiges of a legendary civilization lying dormant on the island which disappeared in an instant due to the runaway Power Stone in the distant past? Something must be amplifying the power of the pillar. With that thought, and with its sense of responsibility as a guardian, Knuckles went into the island alone. However, he wasn't the only one who thought so. Dr. Eggman, the infamous genius scientist, was one of them, and he had already gone to the island to investigate. There, Eggman discovered a small ring with ancient writing carved on it, and turned out the island had been indeed part of a lost civilization. He also discovers a super ring that looks exactly like the one on the floating island, so the super rings that get you to the special stages where you can get the Chaos Emeralds or the Super Emeralds, depending on what version you're playing, Sonic & Knuckles or Sonic 3. It was an ancient special ring that was used before the legendary civilization was lost. Now I can reach the Master Emerald again. Alright, so Eggman was astonished at the discovery, but the power stone that the special ring was supposed to guide him had already been moved to the floating island by the gods who descended from the sky. I don't know about that. However, the mysterious space created by the special ring was filled with pillar energy and turned into a ring-shaped crystalline body called a Chaos Ring. If I could find out the secret of this special ring, I can not only find this secret of Sonic's gang's rings, but I can also summon the Master Emerald. So it seems like this special ring can summon the Master Emerald and also gather the rings that turn Sonic into Hypersonic or lead him to special zones. With that thought in mind, Eggman hastily builds a fortress on the island. The resort, named Newdragic High Zone, is where Eggman's terrible plans are a swirl. And when Knuckles arrived near the island, it was all too late. Eggman succeeded in crystallizing the energy. He named the artificial ring the Dark Ring. He also developed a ring power that could generate a space-time connection between the rings. With this, there's nothing anyone can do to stop me. No one will ever get in my way. This time the whole world will be mine. Steadily, Eggman's ambitions were being realized. Alright, so I definitely like the Japanese manual way more than the English manual. The English manual made it easy and simple to understand, just an amusement park they gotta stop. Some Sonic Colors joint, just basically they stop Eggman, play the game, have fun. But the Japanese one goes in with the lore. It goes in why Eggman's here, what he's here to do, the power of the Chaos Rings, their connection with the Master Emerald, and why Eggman's even here trying to gather them. I like how they went with this. I like how they implemented Knuckles being more of a main character here. Sonic and Tails doing their job, thinking everything's alright, but we're going to more of the Knuckles side of the story, how he takes the responsibility of what happened on Sonic 3 and Knuckles, what happened on Sky Sanctuary, Angel Island, and him taking things to his own hands, finding a team. I like a good story with a team, bro. If you got a story and you got good characters in there, you got a good team, That's gonna be a good story. This lore, bro, this is actually getting me want to play Knuckles Chaotix, because like now I know what it's about. Now I know what to be expecting. But yeah, we kind of went on a tangent of Knuckles Chaotix, but I think that was good because we learned stuff that we didn't know before about Mighty's past, about Knuckles Chaotix, about the ancient civilization, and we understand what went down here. Reading this description, reading this lore, it seems way bigger than Mighty at this point, but we understand where Mighty fits in here, how he has connection to Chaotix. He's an original member of the Chaotix team. We don't see Ray here. They must have separated on their ways out of the island, because Mighty ends up here, Sonic somewhere else, and Ray is nowhere to be found. So they must have separated after the island, trying to escape from Eggman. But we understand what went down Knuckles Chaotix. This joint is kind of like Namek, bro. This joint kind of like Namek. This stuff went down Namek, bro. Stuff went down here. New Drogic High Zone. Stuff went down that joint. So that's some good. That was some good lore on the fly. The last piece of evidence, our last appearance that we see of Mighty, he's in Sonic Mania Plus, which is the DLC for Sonic Mania. I'm eventually gonna play that game. I heard that game was really good. I don't know if it was better. I don't know if it was better than Sonic 3 Knuckles. I'm playing that joint right now, and that joint is crazy. But we'll see, bro. But all right, so the last lore we got is Sonic Mania, the game. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, Sonic Mania Plus. I think we see Mighty and Ray, they're captured, and Sonic finds them and releases them. Double check me if I'm wrong on this, but it just ends up being an illusion or something from the heavy egg robots or whatever. But I think the Sonic Mania Adventures does a better job explaining Mighty and Ray's connection to the Mania story, as Mania just puts them in as DLC, which I'm very grateful for, because I appreciate Mania, or I appreciate Mighty a ton. I'm gonna go into the Sonic Mania Adventures because it gives us a little bit more intel, a little bit more insight. So at some point, Mighty went missing, prompting his friend Ray, this flying squirrel, to go look for him. During his absence, Mighty managed to find a Chaos Emerald. Mighty protecting Ray from Metal Sonic. Mighty eventually found Ray being attacked by Metal Sonic and rushed to his side to defend him. Mighty was able to briefly incapacitate Metal Sonic, but also found himself faced with an ultimatum. Metal Sonic held Ray in a chokehold and demanded Mighty's Chaos Emerald in order to release him. Having no choice but to comply, Mighty gave the evil robot his emerald and watched him fly away, despite attempting to stop him. He then helped Ray to do a quick reconnaissance. I think I said that right, reconnaissance, to find Metal Sonic flying towards an unknown fortress. Ray informed Mighty of this, and they chased after the robot. Having arrived at Dr. Eggman's base, Mighty and Ray find a Chaos Emerald-powered Metal Sonic fighting Sonic the Hedgehog and Miles Tails per hour. He and Ray joined the duo in their fight against the robot, but to no avail. Tails soon managed to trap Metal Sonic and strip him of all the Chaos Emeralds. Eggman then attempted to use the Master Emerald to empower Metal Sonic and finish the four heroes off, but both villains were stopped by Knuckles. With nothing else to do, Mighty joined Sonic, Tails, and Ray in a small picnic with chili dogs. So, another encounter. Sonic, Ray, Tails, and Mighty. Them just teaming up to stop Eggman. That's really like their whole connection here. That's really how they become allies. It's really just them working together to stop Eggman. Really wasn't much lore here to dissect. It was just Ray going on another one of his adventures. So I mean, he has a little consistency of being missing, as Ray, even Ray, his own partner, bro, he was missing for. He was looking for him. So maybe this is like had to be after the Sega. This definitely is after. I think Mania was definitely after the SegaSonic, because if Ray's looking for him, that means Sonic, Mighty, and Ray must have got separated on the SegaSonic after the events that happened there in the little prison they're escaping from. Because that's the only thing that makes sense. Why would he be looking for him if he was with him the whole time? It's also kind of him back to how Mighty was just coming from the Chaotix adventure on the New Drogic High Zone. All the joint that went down there, that's probably why Ray was looking for him. But yeah, if that continuity stays consistent, then that little timeline piece of lore would make sense. Yo, Future Clay, forgot to put this in the lore section, but there has also been talks about Mighty being the first Sonic. All right, hold on, let me cook. A little description I saw about the idea when they were creating Sonic's character, creating Sonic's storyline, or creating the Sonic character, how he would be designed, his art style. They're going for a more ball-like character, as we can see right here. We had the capacity to roll into a ball. Two animals finally came to mind: the armadillo and a small mammal from South and Central America with plates of dermal bone that form a protective shell once it rolls into a ball, and the hedgehog, which has stiff, hollow hairs that create a spiky barrier when he rolls into a ball for protection. It's like, how do we make a choice between an armadillo and a hedgehog? Yasuhara still wonders. There were several points for the three of them to consider. First of all, the game's main concept, speed. There was a point in the hedgehog's favor. For an adventure based on quickness, it would be more ironic than a supersonic hedgehog. It seemed like this paradox. There was also a difference in nature between the two animals. While an armadillo rolls to a ball, it's protecting itself. It uses its body as a shield, not a weapon. But the hedgehog's spikes were more suited to Naka, Shirina, and Yasuhara's idea of a hero who was able to attack while jumping. So ultimately we see that Sonic's design as a hedgehog was picked over Mighty. But the fact that we saw Mighty in the final standings, the character design of Sonic, we've seen that Mighty was literally almost the first Sonic. He was in the running to be the first Sonic. The only reason he didn't get picked is because his design. He was a hedgehog. He's more protection and not like attacking like Sonic the Hedgehog is. That kind of takes place to understand why Mighty's gameplay is so similar to Sonic. He was basically a carbon copy of Sonic. He was basically the blueprint of Sonic the Hedgehog. And you saw in Knuckles and Chaotix, there's some sprites here that look exactly like Sonic sprites. Because in a prototype for Knuckles Chaotix, if Sonic was going to be put into the game, we see that these sprites look exactly like, our Mighty sprites look exactly like what Sonic would look like if he was placed into the game. Oh no, for the Knuckles Chaotix game, they used Sonic as a prototype for Mighty, but Sonic was he's the original. Like, Mighty is basically a carbon copy of Sonic, so we understand why a lot of people see the similarities between Mighty and Sonic. How they just have a similar animation speed and a similar design. And this looks like to be the Sonic 1? Is that the Sonic 1 design? Or the Sonic 2? It looks kind of like the Sonic 2. The color looks kind of like Sonic 1. But I think that's the Sonic 2 design. Yeah. I think so. I don't know. Let me know in the comments. But we see that Mighty is very similar to Sonic. So Mighty could have been the first Sonic. So that's maybe why, one of the reasons why Sega has not brought Mighty back. He's just too similar to Sonic. Like, while the other characters, they have something going for them. They have different unique qualities and traits that differentiate them from Sonic. And Mighty really doesn't have that originality. We only see in Sonic Mania where he gets his own move called the Hammer Drop, which gives him a little bit of distinction. And we also see that he can hop on spikes one extra time compared to the other characters that just lose their rings right after it. And his shell can also deflect projectiles, showing his durability and his defense from his armored shell. So he has some durabilities, but ultimately, and right here, he looks exactly like Sonic. So Mighty being the original Sonic, or not being the original Sonic, Mighty almost being the original Sonic. I think Sega has just seen that as a way as like he's useless. He doesn't really provide anything that the other characters don't. Their main red guy is already Knuckles, and Knuckles has a ton of stuff going for him. And I'm not saying Mighty could replace Knuckles, there's no way, especially with the lore that Knuckles has and the design, everything, the iconic Sonic vs Knuckles. He has a ton of content going for him, so there's no way the red figure could be ever replaced by Mighty. But Mighty deserves a chance. Like, he wasn't asked to be created like this. He wasn't asked to be the carbon copy of Sonic. He wasn't asked to be the blueprint. I feel like there's a bunch of stuff they could go with him. There's a bunch of characters that already look like Sonic. But if you give them lore, that makes them different. If you give them a bunch of skills and give them lore, that makes them different. Literally look at Shadow, bro. Shadow looks exactly like Sonic, bro. My sister gets Shadow and Sonic mixed them up all the time. I don't understand it, but she thinks they look exactly alike. But the reason that differentiates Sonic from Shadow, even though they have parallel experiences, Shadow has a different lore than Sonic. Shadow has a different abilities. Like, give Mighty stuff like that, and he'll be a valuable character in this series. He'll be a more interesting character in the series. And I know Sega can do that because they are able to make Shadow someone that looks exactly like Sonic to be more popular than Sonic. When in the franchise have you ever seen a character more popular than the main character? I know Luigi would never be more popular than Mario. Without Mario, there's no Luigi. So like, you may Shadow can hold his own without Sonic, and we've seen that in the media. We've seen a lot of people like Shadow. So, and Shadow has these qualities. He has his personality, he has his abilities, he has the lore. Give Mighty things like that and he could be a great character in this franchise, but we'll never know if Mighty's not utilized, if Mighty's stuck in the classic era. And it's not a bad thing that he's stuck in the classic era. You can still put him in the spin-off games though. Like, you bring in all these characters at Sonic Crossroads, maybe put him some DLC, just get people to know who he is, get people to have a more familiar personality or familiar loving interest in him, and he'll become a great character. That's mainly the problem. Just give him some lore, give him a few more abilities, and he can be literally his own character. All these characters are pretty much based around Sonic. They all have to be super fast, but give him something to work with, and I'm sure they can make it work. So Exhibit C, where is he? I want to start off with the timeline, the classic era timeline, and usually most of the times release date is the canon date of the games, but it's not exactly true. So I saw some information on Reddit. This dude posted a little Google Doc of the timeline, and I kind of agree with it for the most part. I think Ian Flynn kind of confirmed some other things too. But the classic era, apparently it goes Tails Adventure, Sonic 1, Sonic CD, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. I just consider that both one game. And then SegaSonic Arcade. Alright, so SegaSonic Arcade apparently comes after Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic and 3. So that kind of makes sense. No, that makes sense because Mania Sonic knew Mighty. So Mania had to come after. Yeah, as I say, Sonic Generations for classic Sonic, that came after SegaSonic Arcade. That would also make sense because we did see some cameos in Sonic Generations in one of those stages. I think it was Cityscape. We see a little poster of Mighty and Ray missing since 1993, and we know 1993 is where SegaSonic takes place. That's where the game takes place and how they get out of the little prison. So that makes sense if that Sonic Generations to the classic Sonic comes after the SegaSonic Arcade. That makes sense because that joint alliance. Because there's also some people that played that game back in I don't know when it came out, but it came out in like 2010, I don't know, 2015. It's a long time ago. And some people are saying, wait, Mighty's last game was 1995 and Knuckles Chaotix. But if we're going based off the timeline, the story timeline, that definitely makes sense because 1993, if that Sonic Generations, the classic Sonic came right after the SegaSonic Arcade, it would make sense why it says 1993. So there's a little lore there that maybe that Sega was going for that, or maybe they just scrapped Knuckles Chaotix altogether. Who knows? But hopefully they come back to that. So after that, Sonic Generations, we got Sonic Mania, and then Sonic Forces, Sonic Mania Adventures. Alright, so Sonic Mania Adventures pretty much includes the DLC because we got Sonic Mania Plus right after Sonic Mania Adventures, Encore mode. And then Sonic Superstars, I don't think Mighty's in that. Sonic Shadow Generation, Sonic 4, Knuckles Chaotix. Knuckles Chaotix so late is... Knuckles Chaotix is kind of late. I don't know, it seems kind of late to me. Knuckles Chaotix coming after all of that. I think Knuckles Chaotix comes before Mania. That would definitely make sense because in those Sonic Mania trailers, we seen Mighty and Ray teaming up with Sonic and Knuckles, and then in the elevator, they're like buddy with each other. The only way that would make sense is if Knuckles met up with Mighty before this game. So the only way it makes sense is Knuckles Chaotix is before Mania. That's what I think the chronological order is. I think that's the only way that would make sense because they're buddy, like they were friends for a long time. So that's the only way that would make sense. There's also a little timeline conflict. I think Ian Flynn did. For those who don't know, Ian Flynn is a writer for I think the IDW comics. It's either IDW or Archie, but I think it's IDW comics. So he wrote some stuff for Tales Tube, Sonic Frontiers storyline. Also Sonic Origins, Chaotix, Sonic Generations. So you can see that he's definitely involved with Sega's projects, especially their video games. So he has a credible source. He's a credible source in terms of the script and the storyline and the plot of these Sonic games. I think he debunked the idea that there's apparently going around that the timeline wasn't correct. They said that the timeline was split up between Knuckles Chaotix and Sonic Mania, or the timeline is split up because between the classic era games and Sonic Mania. But I think he's confronted this one whole timeline. I think it was important to know the timeline because we gotta understand where Mighty has been all these times. He's come and gone throughout the series, so he's kind of like Sonic's character a little bit in terms of having his own adventures, which makes sense. But we never get to see any insight of those adventures, so we just see gaps and periods of time where they released a game with Mighty in 1995, and the next game they released with him was 2017. That's mildly inconsistent. I read a little research about how Sega is excluding some characters to the classic era of games. So I believe that includes Mighty, Ray, maybe Knack the Weasel or Fang, whatever, Bark the Polar Bear, and Bean the Dynamite. I think they placed them as classic era characters. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. And I'm not gonna lie, that's really kind of like hurting your potential of having like new characters in future games. I mean, unless you keep pushing out these classic games, which I'd be totally down for, then that would totally work. But I think the last classic type of game that we've got in terms of like 8-bit, 16-bit style was Mania. I like pretty much all of them except Sonic 1. I mean, I'm okay with that. That joint was just way too hard, bro. Especially for like, that joint was just tough, bro. Okay, no spin dash? No spin dash? You crazy? We talked about the cameos and appearances. We talked about the timeline, where everything fits. Finally, we gotta talk about where is Mighty now? Where exactly could he be after the events of Sonic Mania? So I have some theories where he could be. First of all, he always has a little incident. It seems like him and Metal Sonic do not have the closest of connections. Metal Sonic could have done something to him, bro. I mean, Metal Sonic, this joint a killer, bro. He could have iced him off, bro. Iced him off the map. After Sonic Mania, he took him to a corner, put a key blast in his face, bro. He might be dead as we know it. Hopefully he's not, though. That's my goal. Not really, though, but at the same time, Metal Sonic could have something to do with Mighty. I don't know what. We saw in Sonic Mania Adventures that Mighty can take Metal on a one-on-one. He's got that durability. He's got the skill set. He has the abilities to do it. Or Metal might have to use Ray to his advantage to keep Mighty out of it or something like that. But both Mighty and Ray are missing again, and we don't know anywhere about them. So hopefully Sega shows some light on that. Another idea is that maybe they got captured just like in Sonic Mania Adventure, just like in Knuckles Chaotix, or just like in SegaSonic. It's a common theme for Mighty to get captured, and the player playing as Mighty or Sonic in these games, they have to break them free, and they have to escape from wherever they are. So there's a good chance he got captured again, because looking at all these games, he's 100% capture rate. This dude's nearly a Pokemon. Next up, talk about the descriptions. His solo adventures. Knuckles Chaotix, he was doing a solo adventure, and I mean that goes within his personality. Mighty could just be, a solo adventure, just doing his own adventures. Maybe we could see a spin-off game or whatever. Another reason that he could be lost, because Eggman probably try to execute him again. We still don't know why he was trying to execute him, bro. Like, what did Mighty do to Eggman, bro? He take your favorite deluxe, take your favorite Chick-fil-A meal, bro. Like, you still got some calories on you, bro. You gotta do some exercise. I mean, Eggman definitely opts all these characters, so he probably trying to get a Mighty or something. I don't know. I don't know what Mighty could offer to him. Maybe a Chaos Emerald. Maybe that's what Eggman's going after him for. I mean that's pretty much all the options I see right now. Obviously, there's the idea that Sega doesn't want to include any more classic era characters, and of course, I disagree with that. I feel like if they're not going to include the classic era characters in the modern games, at least put them in the spin-off modern games like Sonic Cross Worlds, or just games that don't matter. But if you're not even gonna do that, then just make some classic games, bro, like Sonic Mania, and just have new stories, have new lores around them, and include these characters in their backstories. I think a lot of the fans will appreciate it. It gives them a little fresh breath of air, exploring more of the characters in Sonic, because Sonic has a ton of cool characters, bro, and not every franchise has a bunch of that. Like, Sonic has a bunch of cool characters that you can do spin-out games and stories off and mainline games off. Knuckles Chaotix game had a great lore. I'm definitely gonna play it now, especially reading after all that lore. But if Mighty and Ray are definitely lost, or if Mighty and Ray are stuck in the classic era, then they gotta make some games on the classic era style. That's the only way. Final thoughts. The verdict. I think Mighty and Ray are definitely lost again, and I'm leaning towards they got captured by someone. I don't know who, I don't know what, but they definitely got captured by someone, and Sega needs to make another game addressing what happens to them after the adventures of Sonic Mania, because we haven't seen them in like what, Sonic Mania dropped 2017. We haven't seen them in like 8 years, bro. Hopefully Mighty and Ray, they figure out a way to become more relevant. Hopefully Sega makes them more relevant. Give Mighty some lore, give Mighty some more ability. It's a few more abilities that don't go out of pocket with anything, but still align with what he stands for, still aligns with the structure of his body. Just give him a few more personality traits and he can literally be a character just as good as other characters. Sega also needs to remember that Mighty is part of the Chaotix. They need to remember that he was a part of the original Chaotix. Knuckles was more of a partnership than a part of the official team, but Mighty was definitely a part of the Chaotix, and they need to address that. Whoever he is, they need to bring the Chaotix back and they get Mighty back on the squad, bro. That's his home, bro. That's his home for real. That's my final thoughts. Full case study. Didn't think I was gonna talk for that long, but I did it. It was something on my mind. I just had to get it done. But free my boy MIGHTYEEZY, bro. Free my boy MIGHTYEEZY. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know what you guys think, where Mighty's at, if he deserves another spot on the roster, if he deserves to be part of the crew, of the Sonic crew, if you like the games he was included in. Let me know what you guys think about the lore, any ideas of the lore of Knuckles Chaotix, the old civilization. Just all your ideas, just flood it in the comments. And we gotta find Mighty, bro. Shout out MIGHTYEEZY. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching this video. Take care. Peace.